Hey y'all, I've spent over 6 years helping buyers and sellers with real estate right here in Greenville, South Carolina. And in that time, I've seen people lose money to floods, get denied loans for secret renovations, and even move into houses that could affect their health. So today, I'm going to go over 4 types of homes that you may want to avoid buying here in Greenville and how to protect yourself from making a huge mistake. Are you ready? Let's go. We're starting with the F word, and you know what I'm going to say. It's flood. Flood zone properties. The first type of home you want to avoid might surprise you because we're talking about Greenville, South Carolina. The problem is not the house when we talk about flooding, it's where the house sits. Greenville County does have some flood zones, especially near the Reedy and Saluda rivers. Here's what most people don't realize. If you buy a home in what we consider a 100-year flood zone, there's actually a 26% chance your home will flood during your 30-year mortgage. Think about that. 1 out of every 4 homes in these zones will flood at some point while you are still paying for it. That is not a small risk. Greenville has flood maps you can pull up online through the city's GIS portal, and when you look at them, you're going to see flood zones everywhere. Homes in these areas can require flood insurance, and if you're not prepared, the cost can be brutal. You could be talking about an extra couple of $100s a month, depending on the zoning. At the end, I'll give you the exact checklist I use with clients, so you'll know in about 60 seconds if a Greenville house is a safe buy for you or a potential money pit. So stay tuned. Now, if your home does not sit high enough above something called the base flood elevation, you might have to make costly repairs. Loans can also be harder to get depending on these flood zones. Some lenders want to avoid flood zone homes completely, and others can add on strict rules. When you try to sell, it gets even tougher. Way fewer buyers are willing to take on a flood zone property, which hurts both your home value and extends the time it could take you to sell. Flooding is one of those things that you can easily research ahead of time if you know where to look. But here's the deal. Most people buying in Greenville do not even know that these flood maps exist. Who would have thought? That's exactly why I make this video. If this already has you thinking differently about your home search, do us both a favor and hit that subscribe button. I share insider info here about our local market every week that you will not find anywhere else. It's coming from a true local. Second type of home problem looks perfect on the surface. This one catches buyers off guard because the house looks great until it is time to sell or if it has to have an insurance inspection. We're talking about unpermitted additions. These are things like bonus rooms, garage conversions, decks, sunrooms, or major renovations that were done without permits from Greenville County's Building Safety Division. Here's why this is a big deal. No permits means no inspections to confirm the work meets building codes. Code officials can actually make you tear out unpermitted work or spend a fortune bringing it up to code. I've seen homeowners being forced to rip out entire additions because they could not meet the required code after the fact when they tried to sell. The loan problems can be brutal. Some lenders will refuse to approve your mortgage if they find unpermitted work. Others can even call your existing loan and demand repayment. That means you could end up unable to refinance or worse, be forced to pay back your loan early. Insurance is another headache that can pop up with these issues. Many companies will deny coverage for any damage in unpermitted spaces. Others will simply exclude those rooms from your policy. Imagine having a beautiful sunroom that your insurance company refuses to cover. But there's an even bigger danger some families don't find out about until years later, and it has nothing to do with paperwork. The great news is this is easy to check. Greenville County has an online portal that shows all permitted work. You just compare what's on file with what you see during your walkthrough. That's where I come in. I have clients who have learned the hard way. I had a house that this happened to me. You buy what you think is a 4-bedroom home. 2 years later, you try to refinance, and the bank discovers one of those rooms was never permitted. it can happen. Legally, it's only a 3-bedroom home and it can create a financial nightmare. Always check the permit records before you close on a new home if work has been done to it. It only takes a few minutes, but it can save you thousands of dollars and a lot of stress. And speaking of insurance issues, there's another problem that is invisible and even more serious. Our next big scary real estate monster is radon. When you're shopping for a house, work that was not permitted is not the only potential insurance problem. The next type we're going to talk about is one that could be quietly harming your family's health without you even realizing it. I'm talking about homes in EPA radon Zone 1 areas that do not have the systems to deal with it. Greenville County is classified as Zone 1 for radon, which means we have the potential for high radon across our entire area. What is radon? It is a radioactive gas that comes from uranium breaking down in soil and rock. You cannot see it, you cannot smell it, but it has the potential to build up inside your home at dangerous levels. Long-term radon exposure is the second leading cause of lung cancer after smoking, and for non-smokers, it is the number 1 cause. In our area, testing shows an average indoor level of 2.9 picocuries per liter, but plenty of homes can go over the action level of 4, and that requires remediation. I've heard of homes testing as high as 10 or 12. That can get dangerous. These health risks hit kids and non-smokers the hardest. Kids are more vulnerable because their lungs are still developing and they breathe faster. Radon systems do work, but as you can imagine, they're not free. A professional active mitigation system can cost anywhere from $900 to $1,400. It works by creating negative pressure under your foundation, blocking the radon from seeping inside. This is especially important in slab homes, which are common in new neighborhoods because the gas has a direct path into your home. Testing has to be done correctly. Professional radon tests are recommended in every home purchase. These tests run for about 48 hours with closed home conditions to give accurate results. I've seen homes come back above the accepted radon level, and so we have to proceed with mitigation. You can buy a home and have no idea that this is going on until you get the radon test. I can understand why this would worry you. And even as a seller, you may not be aware of radon levels building up in your home. It usually only comes up when you go to sell your home because your buyer wants it tested. So the good news is radon is easily fixed with the right system. It sounds scary on the surface, but we have testing that's readily available and systems that easily take care of the issue. Even brand new homes can fail a test. It's not a situation that's isolated to resale homes, but it's fixable. The health risks are serious, but there's still one more type of home problem that can cost you in ways you would never expect. The fourth and final deal breaker we're going to talk about has nothing to do with the house itself. This one can turn your dream home into a financial nightmare, and it is all hidden in fine print most people, if you're not a real estate agent, never read. I am talking about houses with HOAs that have rules that they cannot enforce or rules that are way too aggressive. Some of these associations create rules that do not even follow South Carolina law. Others give themselves far too much power over homeowners. Here's what to watch out for. Some HOAs pass rules or changes without following the proper process under the South Carolina Homeowners Association Act. Legally, those rules cannot be enforced, but that does not stop some associations from trying to fine you anyway. Even worse, some associations will start piling on fines and fees without proper notice or homeowner votes. I have heard of HOA boards approving major expenses without giving homeowners a chance to have input or a vote. Your legal options at this point can be limited. The South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs can help mediate situations like this, but they cannot force associations to change their policies. If your HOA acts improperly, your choices cases are usually expensive and can take a long time going through the legal system. State data shows HOA disputes are rising, with more homeowners fighting over building guidelines, fee hikes, and maintenance costs. This is why the review process, we call it due diligence, is critical before you buy. I'll provide you the covenants, conditions, and restrictions, also known as CCRs, for any home in an HOA before we write a contract. Most HOAs have a real estate attorney who understand the South Carolina Homeowners Association Act review them, but some don't. The problem is that most buyers only pay attention to the monthly HOA fees, but those fees are just the starting point. The real danger comes from special assessments and sudden increases with little homeowner control or input. We want to look for associations with clear procedures, requirements for homeowner votes on major costs, and strong reserve funds already in place. Avoid HOAs that use unclear documents or rely too often on special assessments. We've been through quite the list. We've talked about 4 types of problems that can cost you thousands when you're buying a home. The great news is that there are ways to protect yourselves from all of these risks. Let's talk about due diligence and protection strategies. How do you avoid these problems? Meredith, I'm so scared. Don't be. Here are the things you should never skip over when buying a home in Greenville. For flood zones, let's always look for a flood zone certification or an elevation certificate from the seller. These documents will tell you exactly if the home sits in a flood zone and if it sits high enough above the requirements. Do not rely on someone's word about flood status. Get the official paperwork. P.S. It's really easy to find. For unpermitted work concerns, run a permit search through Greenville County's online system. This covers additions, major renovations, decks, and other structural changes. Compare what we see in the house with what shows up in the records. For homes in an HOA, have a real estate attorney who understands the South Carolina Homeowners Association Act review the CC&Rs. I can help you with that. Do not try to figure this out on your own. The language can be complicated, and you need someone who knows what is enforceable under state law. For radon, always include professional testing in your home inspection during due diligence. This test, as I told you earlier, runs in the home for 48 hours under closed conditions. Do not skip this step, even with new construction. Here we go, y'all. I know this video sounded scary to start, but actually, knowing what to look for and what to avoid is extremely important when buying a home, no matter where you are moving. And these are just a few of the most important things to know about before you buy a home in the Greenville, South Carolina area. If you're still doing some research, looking for places to live in upstate South Carolina, check out this video where I covered some of my personal favorite places to live and which ones you might want to avoid. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, y'all.